Welcome back to the channel. As always, if I could please ask you to hit that like button and subscribe, it really will help the channel grow even more. I would like to give a big thank you for all the amazing support so far. Now, on with the video. Disclaimer, this is not a review. It's how I would change the film if I had the opportunity. Okay, I'm not sure how well known this is based on the channel, but I am a big fan of everything DC. The comics, TV shows, games, and of course, the films. By extension of that, the DCEU, in particular Wonder Woman and Shazam. I finally watched Wonder Woman 1984 the other night, and I thought it was pretty alright. A lot better than most of the DC extended universe, but not nearly as good as the ones I've already discussed. I've not stopped thinking about it, what I liked and what I didn't. In the end, I came to the conclusion on how I would fix it. There will be spoilers going ahead, so if you haven't watched the film yet, I would suggest watching it and then coming back to this video afterwards. You should turn it off now. I would change some of the plot elements. I think the biggest issue with the film is how overstuffed it feels. It's very ambitious, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I think Maxwell Lord had way too big of a role. He should have either been a minor character, maybe the person who hires Barbara to research and deal with the stone, but better than that, I think the film just needs to cut him out altogether. His overabundance held it back and changed the tone to make it too comical. If the first film proves anything, then it needs to be a grittier flick than what we had. Secondly, this is how I think the plot should have played out. Barbara is hired to analyse and collect the Wish Stone, and she becomes overly attached to it. She goes unnoticed at work, people aren't interested in her, and it slowly eats away at her mentally. Diana picks up on this and asks if she wants to go to dinner and befriends her, similarly to how the film handled it. After seeing the perfect life that she perceives Diana having, the jealousy eats away at her until she wishes for her life. In turn, she trades her humanity, and the film follows her mental and physical change into Cheetah, culminating in her using a similar kind of wish manipulation to Max and taking the world hostage. This culminates in the climax fight. Whereas the plot takes Diana in a slightly different direction. Now, the plot opens differently than expected. It shows a challenge that a young Diana partakes in against other Amazonian women in the past. It's a far too long intro, despite it being a cool segment, with the idea essentially being that truth is the most important thing in this world. It's a cool moral concept and plays into the climax through a speech she says to Max at the end. It's okay, but not the only personal journey Diana has in this movie. Arguably, the most forced plot element is the resurrection of Steve Trevor using the Wish Stone in return for slowly losing her powers. I understand the metaphor that letting go of someone you love is really hard, and that the plot point does do that. I just think they could have handled it differently. I think if her fighting against Cheetah wasn't up to scratch because of her mourning and her still being very much in love with Steve, it would have worked. You could even have had segments where she was communicating with him through her mind, but you visually see it on screen. I think that would have been the better way of handling it. And as Cheetah rose to power and threatened humanity, he could have said something both motivational and related to moving on. Then Diana would have been able to overcome this personal struggle and protect humanity. Which would have been a nice development as she finally feels real human emotion and understands why she is protecting the people of this world. Obviously, I would need to tighten these points, but that's kind of a general idea of what I would do if I were the one writing or editing this movie. I would love to hear your opinion on this movie too. Did you like it or dislike it? Please let me know in comments down below. Once again, if I could please ask you to hit that like button and subscribe, I would really appreciate the support. Stay close as I post new videos every single week.